What's happening, people? I'm DJ Graish, and in tonight's live stream I'm going to show you how to put together an instrument rack, specifically a beautiful pad sound that you can use to make liquid drum and bass. So let me know if you can see me, let me know if you can hear me, let me know if the mic's all good, and let me know if you can see Ableton live. Testing, 1, 2. Can you hear the mic? Is it working all right? Thank you, Manny Lynn. It's showing that there's some like weird noises come through, but if you can't hear them, then it's all good. It's like the meter is flashing as if there's just constantly sound coming through, even when I stop talking. I'm not really sure what that's about. But anyway, how's everyone's week been? You alright? Have you had a good one? Hopefully you can't hear any weird noises coming through the microphone. I want to big up everyone in the chat. Big up Garfield, big up DJ Fully Loaded, big up Manny Lynn. Shout out to everybody who's watching who's not in the chat. Big up everyone who's watching this back at a later stage. I also want to big up all of the Graish Nation members. Everyone who's supporting the channel by joining the membership and also becoming a supporter on Patreon. So I hope you can hear the tune now. It's one called Twilight that I made on the stream a couple of weeks ago. And if you want to see how I made it, there is actually a live stream called Liquid Drum and Bass Production Tutorial Live. And this is the tune that I made on that one. So we're going to play it just like a couple more minutes and I'll wait for some more people to arrive, and then I'm going to get into the main topic, which is me showing you how to put together a nice pad sound. It's called the Graish Ambient Pad, and it's basically going to be the type of pad that you would use in ambient drum and bass, liquid drum and bass, like chilled out jungle, these kind of genres. And it's pretty easy to put together. However, if you don't have the time or the patience to put it together yourself, I've also put it up for download on my Patreon, which is linked in the description. So if any of you guys want to grab it, you can just become a supporter and grab it from there. Alright, so before I started streaming, I was just putting together some drums and a little bit of nice one, Garfield. So I'm just going to press don't save on that. So I've just put together some drums and like some basic chords so that when I put this pad together to show you, we can also, you know, have some drums and that going along with it. So the drums sound like this. Pretty similar drums to what was going on in Twilight, to be honest. And I also put together these chords in Contact. Alright, so the title of the video is how to create instrument racks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a pad sound which is made from wavetable synth, but it's going to have other instruments chucked in with it, and they're all going to be playing together. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Instruments and grab the wavetable and drag that in. So for the people who don't know, the wavetable synth is a synthesizer that comes with Ableton Live Suite, and as the name suggests, it's all based on these sound wave shapes. And in the basic shapes, you've got this slider that takes you from a sine wave to a triangle wave to a sawtooth wave to a square wave. So it sounds like this. If I just press a random note, that's what the sine wave sounds like. As you move the slider up and it goes to a triangle wave, it sounds like that. And as you can hear, it sort of gets more intense as you put it towards the sawtooth wave, and then when it's a square wave, it sounds like that. Now, we're not going to be using the basic shapes. What I'm going to do is just quickly change this from basic to vintage, and then I'm going to put this to mini waves, and then just put the slider about halfway up. So if you're following along with me, you can just drag in a wavetable synth, put the style onto vintage, and then mini waves. Then I'm going to turn on oscillator 2, and I'm going to choose the same again. So I'm going to go to vintage and I'm going to put it onto mini waves. So now we've got two oscillators that are basically playing something very similar to each other, and we're going to start to modulate this so that things start moving. So how do you do that? Well, there's this thing called an LFO, which stands for low frequency oscillator, and what that does is you can basically make parts of the synth move. So for example, you can make the low frequency oscillator move this control up and down to go through the different wave shapes. How do you do that? Well, there's this thing called the matrix. And by the way, the wavetable synth can pop out into a full screen view like this, and it can take up your whole screen, and that makes it so that you can see both oscillators at the same time. You can see all the envelopes and all the LFOs and everything. So the matrix is basically a grid of squares where each thing can be linked to each other. So for example, the LFO can be linked to oscillator 1 position, and all you do is you click in it and you drag upwards a little bit and make sure there's a little value in there, and then if we go back to oscillator 1, you'll see that that's actually moving up and down now and oscillating. You can change the rate here, so you can put it slower, so it moves slower like this. And that's really slow. And also the amount that you put in on the matrix determines how much it'll move by. So if I put this to a lot, look, it's going right up there. If I put it back down, it'll just move a bit. And I think, to be honest with you, I've put that a bit too slow, so I'll turn that back up again. So as you can see, the position on the wavetable is moving up and down, and it's controlled by LFO1. Now I'm going to make LFO2 control the position on oscillator 2. So to do that, we go back into the matrix, and LFO2 controls this here, oscillator 2 position. So now that's wobbling as well. Hope everyone's following so far. I know it's a bit complicated. This is kind of an intermediate class today. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to use these filters and just put it on a bit of a low pass filter and then just move the frequency down. And you can hear it sounds like that. So what I want to do is make the LFO move the filter frequency as well. So it's very clever because everything that you click on appears in the matrix. So for example, if I click on this frequency control here, you'll see now in the matrix it says filter 1 frequency, and you can use LFO1 to control it by putting that up to a little bit of a value like 14 for example. And now you'll see that LFO1 is making that filter move back and forth. Shout out to Tobias in the chat. I don't think I've seen you here before. Big up, man. So yeah, we're getting a bit nerdy with the wavetable synth. So basically, what we've done so far is made these LFOs control different aspects of the synth. And right now, I'm going to make LFO2 control this frequency here. I'm also going to put that onto a low pass filter and then just make LFO2 control filter 2 frequency. And it's important to just put it to a kind of a low value so that it's quite subtle. So how's everyone been? Have you had a good week? Let me know how your week's been in the chat, and also let me know where you're tuning in from. Now, one really important thing, if you want this to sound like a nice pad, one thing you're going to need to do is where it says unison, just put that to classic and then make sure it's 3 or more voices. Another thing we need to do is alter the envelope and give it a bit more attack. So if you go into this amp, and this here is called the attack, and basically that means that if you make it longer, it's going to take longer for the notes to fade in. So watch, if I put it quite long and then if I press the buttons, you hear how it took a while to come in. Sort of fades in. You can also tune the release. So the release is like when you let go of the keys, how long does it carry on going for? Big up Misty in the chat. Hello, mate. So I feel like these LFOs are moving a bit too quickly, so it's LFO2. I'm going to move that down to the rate is like 0. I usually like to put it on 0.14 or 16 or 18 hertz. So it's moving super slowly. Now, one thing that this pad definitely needs is some reverb. So I'm going to go into audio effects and I'm going to get the hybrid reverb and put that on there. And one patch that I've been liking recently is if we go to halls and then just put it onto long synth hall. Big up Aaron303 in the chat. Going to put some delay on there as well. Maybe put it on ping pong mode. I've had a good week. I'm busy recording my course, so I'm making a complete guide to Ableton Live. That's not the actual title of it. I'm going to come up with a catchy title. But basically, it's a course where I take you from absolute beginner to expert level in Ableton Live. And it's going to be a series of about 60 or 70 videos. And that's going to be ready by the end of the year and dropping at the start of 2026. So that's basically what I'm doing all week. How about you, Misty? You all right? Got any new tunes out? I always listen whenever you send me a tune through Instagram. I always check it out, you know. Alright, so just to recap, what we've done so far is we've dragged the wavetable synth into the project. We've put it onto vintage mini waves, and then on oscillator 2, same again, vintage mini waves. Then I set up this filter, and the idea is that the LFO is going to modulate the wavetable position and the filter frequency. And we can also set up that LFO to modulate other stuff as well. I also went into this amp and adjusted the attack and release so that it gradually fades in and gradually fades out to make it more of a sort of gentle, luscious pad type sound. And that's about it so far, and I've put some delay and reverb on there. Big up Future World Machines in the chat. So the title of the video, the title of the stream is all about making an instrument rack. So how can we do that? Well, first thing we need to do is group it all together. So I'm going to click on the wavetable synth, then I'm going to go to the last effect now, and I'm going to hold down shift and click it so that we've got everything selected, and then Command and G. Now, if you do that with just effects, then you will make an effects rack, but since this has an instrument involved, it's made an instrument rack, and you can just about see the title of it there. It says Instru. Alright, so that's an instrument rack. So if you've been following along, we have now successfully created an instrument rack. However, we're not done yet. We're going to be adding a lot of different things. Misty, are you using Ableton Live? You know, I get a lot of people that are contacting me, and they watch my streams and they watch my videos, but they're not even using Ableton Live, which is, you know, I never thought that would happen at first. I thought that my channel would only really appeal to Ableton users, and if you're using like Fruity Loops or some other system like Logic Pro, that you would prefer to watch someone else's channel. But I really appreciate the guys that are using like other digital workstations, not even using Ableton, but they just like my content anyway. So this is what we've got so far. As I was saying at the beginning, I just put together some basic drums and some basic keys. Shout out Misty, he's been making some grungy jungle. I've literally never once used FL Studio, but needless to say, it's come a long way because I saw a guy using it back in, literally in like the year 2000 or 2001, back when it was called Fruity Loops, and he was just messing about with it. And then I didn't see it for ages, and then, you know, it got renamed as FL Studio, and it seems like it's way better these days. It's like a full-on, complete DAW. Shout out Jason Story in the chat. Oh, I didn't even know that the USA crew changed the clocks. I thought that was only a European thing. And did you know, I'm going to get political on you for a second, but did you know that the reason why, you know, if you look on a map, Spain is directly below the UK, right? So why isn't Spain on the same time zone as the UK? Well, it's basically to do with in the mid-20th century when there was a lot of fascism going on in Europe. The Spanish dictator wanted to align with Adolf Hitler's time zone, which is the Central European time. And you might think, well, probably now would be a good time to just move it back to where it was supposed to be, but we're still on this European time zone. I guess it's good for business to be on the same one as like Paris and Berlin and all the rest of it. Tune in next week for more historical facts. So anyway, having an instrument rack essentially allows you to add different instruments and different effects onto one thing and then have it all very compact and everything. So you can use these things called macros. So what are macros? Well, you've got these 8 knobs here which you can control any of the other things within the thing. So for example, if I wanted to, I could link this wavetable position to macro 1, and then I could have it all folded up so you just see those 8 macros, and you could just easily control it that way. And you may have noticed on the thumbnail of today's video that these are all populated with different effects on the top row and then different parameters of the synth on the bottom row. So we're going to set all of that up now. So the way how you do that is, I need to remember now. So there's a map button there. What we're going to do is we're going to have reverb. So we're going to start off with the reverb, and I'll use this wet and dry of the reverb here. So I'll click that. I'm going to go over to map on macro 1. So now the wet and dry of the reverb is there, and you can see it says 40%. Then we can get out of mapping mode, and now in order to control how much reverb we've got, you can just use this macro here. You can turn it down to nothing, or you can turn it up to 50%. Now it's called dry wet, which isn't very helpful to us because we don't know what effect that's talking about. So it'd probably be better to rename that as reverb. So what you do is you click it and press Command and R, and that will allow you to type in the new name for it, which is reverb. Perfect. So now we have our reverb on macro 1. And we also have a delay over here. So let's go back into mapping mode. And I'm going to click the dry and wet knob of the delay, and then go over to macro 2 and click map. And I'm going to get out of mapping mode, and I'm going to click on here and rename it and just call that delay. So now we can control how much reverb and how much delay we have just from these two here. And as you can see, once I've folded it all up and it's looking all neat and tidy, you've just got a simple reverb and delay control, you know. So the idea is to just have it all folded up and looking neat and tidy, and you don't necessarily have to see any of the stuff that's going on in here because you can just control it from these macros. I hope that's clear to everyone, but feel free to ask me any questions you've got. And in the meantime, let's have a listen to these drums and keys. Don't worry, Garfield. I'm going to see you on Friday, and I'll just give you a copy of this pad if you want to use it. So you can chuck this into your projects. So, by the way, guys, if anyone's interested in doing one-on-one classes with me, all you need to do is go to the email address that's in the description. It's contact.graish@gmail.com. Get in touch with me and let's have a chat, and we can talk about starting to do some Ableton live lessons. And I'm happy to teach people from like absolute beginner level, or if you're intermediate and you already know what you're doing. All right, so just get in touch with that email address down below. So we've got delay, we've got hybrid reverb. Now I want to talk to you guys about another effect which is called OTT. So what is OTT? Well, basically, it's a multi-band compressor with some pretty extreme settings. And I'm just going to drop that before the delay and reverb, and it's there. So within Ableton, you've got the multi-band compressor, and one preset of the multi-band compressor is called OTT. I think it stands for over the top because it's got some pretty extreme settings. Now, if you put this on, it usually sounds a bit whack if you have the amount on 100%. But it doesn't sound as bad if you put it down a bit. Now, what OTT does is it completely compresses and squashes the sound, but it also usually tends to bring out the top end. So you'll hear that if I play a chord and then bring up the amount, what it's doing is giving you sort of a more defined top end, which can be nice. So what we'll do is, you guessed it, we're going to map the OTT here. So I'm going to go to the OTT and the amount knob there and just click that and go to our macros and press map there. And get out of mapping mode, and I'm going to rename that and just call it OTT. Now it's at this point of the stream where I'm going to have to admit to you that I have actually forgotten what the macro for was going to be. So let's have a look. If I bring up the thumbnail of today's live stream. Okay, look. Here's the thumbnail. We got chorus, delay, OTT, and reverb. So I'm doing them in a slightly different order, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. But we've done the reverb, we've done OTT, we've done delay. So it's time to add the chorus. All right, let's go. So in order to add chorus, for the people who don't know, all you need to do is click into your browser and click into the little search and literally type chorus. And then in audio effects, you're going to see it there, chorus ensemble. Just drag that in. And then we're going to map the chorus wet and dry to macro 4. So to do that, we're just going to go into mapping mode. We're going to grab the dry and wet and go back over here and then click map. Get out of mapping mode and then just rename it as chorus. Alright. Now the bottom macros, as you can see on the thumbnail, they are attack, sustain, release and volume. So attack, sustain and release are all just part of that amp envelope of the synth, which is all very simple, and then it's just the main volume as well. So all of this is, these four are all controls of the wavetable synth. Yes, and Future World Machines is asking me if I can add, I'm not sure if you're asking me can I, like am I going to, or can I as in is it possible? The answer is yes for both. Alright. And my camera, unfortunately, is starting to show signs of, like, it's got this little thing on the screen where it tells you the temperature, and it's looking like it's going to overheat, to be honest. Not sure if there's anything I can really do about that. So, you know what? If that, if the camera goes off, it might become a bit of a faceless stream, and if that happens, please accept my sincerest apologies. It did happen the other week, to be honest, which was annoying. Anyway, let's quickly map the things I was talking about. So macro 5 is the attack. So over here on the synth, you can see you've got ADSR. So the A stands for attack. So I'm just going to click that, and then I'm going to click map. Then I'm going to click, what was it? Decay or sustain that I had. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting what was supposed to be on there. So let's have a look. We've got attack, sustain, release, and volume. All right, the next one's sustain. So click sustain, and then map it. Click release, and then map it. And then the last one is volume. It's like the main volume of the wavetable synth. So that's that volume there. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to map it to macro 8. Now I'm going to get out of mapping mode, and I'm just going to rename these. So instead of amp attack, I'm just going to call it attack. Instead of amp sustain, I'm just going to call this sustain. And instead of amp release, I'm just going to call it release. And then volume. So that's basically all the macros set up now. Link to Patreon not working. Oh man. Technical difficulties, guys. Anyway, if you guys do want to go on the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Graish. And I'm not sure why that's not working. I mean, it worked for me. It kind of took me to my Patreon page. So let's have a play with this synth, this wavetable synth now. See how it's sounding, and then mess about with some of the macros. So I'd say the attack's way too long for a start. All right, let me just record in those notes. I'd say the second half was more accurate. Garfield, what happened when you tried to click the Patreon link? All right. Professional broadcasting. I'm going to make a bass line in a minute. first I'm just going to quickly go in and see if I can edit the Patreon link to make it actually work. Because, as I was saying before, if any of you guys are interested in this pad sound that we've made today, then you can actually just download it as an instrument rack and put it straight into Ableton by going to patreon.com/Graish. And I've just edited the link there, so it should be working now. Anyway, thanks for sticking around, guys. So, it's locked. I really appreciate you guys sticking around during when I'm having some technical difficulties and stuff, but what we're going to do now is start to actually make this tune, so maybe it'd be good to add a bass line. So let me just type in bass here and see what looks good. One thing you can do is just literally click these different basses and see what's sounding good. Basic fine line bass. Okay, it's way too high. Some of these are really good actually. Basic Reese bass. Basic saturated bass. Basic organ bass. And one classic is the sine. Basic sine subsine. Is that the one? Sounds heavy. I was thinking about it going sorry. I want it to go boom, 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 boom. Heavy like a sack of spuds. So Future World Machines is asking me what are the different symbols next to the preset names. And I think what they are is like some of them are like samples and some of them are synths. So the basic sine sub is a synth. And if you open it up, it's actually the operator synth. So this is a prime example of an instrument rack because you can, as you can see, you've got the operator. You've got EQ8, multiband dynamics, saturator, and it's all folded up into this neat little package where you've just got 8 different macros. And for all you know, when you turn up the distortion, you don't really know where that distortion's coming from, but if you actually open it up, you'll see that it's coming from this saturator. Alright, so the idea is that once you've created an instrument rack like this, you don't need to really worry about the saturator or the this or the that, where all these different effects are actually coming from. All you need to concentrate on is just tweaking these little macros and getting a nice sound that you like. So let's test my theory. I was saying that one, it's a synthesizer, and then some of these, instead of having kind of a T shape in them, it's just a little line, like that one, and that one might be a sample. Let's have a look. No, that's wrong. That's also a synthesizer. I'll have to get back to you on that one, mate. Let's get rid of basic fine line and just keep basic subsine. I think what it could be is actually very closely tied to today's subject, which is, building an instrument rack. It looks like some of them are just instruments and others are instrument rack, which is basically an instrument packaged with a load of effects. And you'll see that some of them say ADG, others say ADV. So if you drag in one that's an ADV, it's literally just the instrument by itself. And if you drag in one that says ADG, well, it's an instrument rack that comes with a load of other stuff after it. So you've got that one that's like a wavetable synth, and it also has an echo after it. So it looks like if it's an ADG, then it's a rack, and if it's an ADV, it's literally just the instrument by itself. And thanks for asking, because it's something I've never really even thought about. Alright, let's have a look. One thing I like to do with sub bass is to go and have a look on the spectrum analyzer and see what sort of frequencies we're hitting when we play it, when it's sounding roughly correct. So for example, if you get the spectrum and put that onto the main, and I was kind of working out what key we're in here, and I think it's this, and that's looking a bit high. So this is why it's always good to check. What I need to do is turn down this basic subsine because I don't want to distort it. But what we probably should do is try it here. We're at 70 Hertz. Try it an octave lower. We're at 36. So that's why this particular key that I'm working in now is probably not the best for drum and bass, because you've got one octave that's too high and one octave that's too low. So what I should do now is just actually find out what key this is so I can avoid it in future. So let's have a look. We are talking about C sharp. So a little tip for you, don't write your chords or your bass line or your melody in C sharp, because you're going to end up with a bass line that's where the sub bass is either too high or too low. Now, if you've got a subwoofer, it's fine to have your sub bass at 36 Hertz. Anyone if you're playing it through a huge sound system, you're going to be able to hear it. If you're playing it through in-ear headphones that go properly inside your ears, no problem. But for anyone who's trying to play that bass on their mobile phone or little speaker, they're never going to hear it. So what you would probably be better off doing is like re-pitch this whole thing. So how are we going to do that? Well, I've written these chords in Contact. And one thing I could do is just try to move them up and see. or move them down. Wait, let me ditch the wavetable. So Garfield is asking me what Dropbox storage do I recommend. Well, I use actual Dropbox, to be honest. Just out of habit, because it's been what I've been using for 15 years. I couldn't say whether it's any better or worse than Google Drive or iCloud storage or any of that stuff, you know. But for now, I'm sticking with Dropbox. Alright, so I want to talk to you about a method that you can use to check out your tunes. The method is this. When you're producing, when you've been sat there all afternoon making a tune and now you need to leave your desk and go and do something, what you should do is press export and export a preview version of your tune into cloud storage. For example, I've got a folder on my Dropbox called Previews, and it's basically where I put my work in progress tunes. And as soon as it's exported from Ableton Live, literally the moment it's finished exporting, it gets uploaded to the Dropbox and it's there. Now on your phone, you can go in the Dropbox app and it's just there. So you walk out of your front door, you walk down the street, you put your headphones on, and you can listen to your new tune that you've been working on. And usually you might find that it sounds slightly different on your headphones walking down the street than it did in the studio. But you might be pleasantly surprised, or you might be absolutely gutted. Big up the Patreon crew. I hope my link is working now. So for the people who've just joined us, basically the instrument rack that we created today, which is this pad, it is available on my Patreon. And also I have a free template on there. So for the people who want to sign up for free, I have this free jungle template that you can download from my Patreon, and then you can open it up in Ableton Live, and it contains all sorts of breaks and bass and stuff. So Garfield is asking, one song about 4 megabytes average, as Dropbox is 2 gigabytes for free. Yeah, so in that case you can fit many previews on Dropbox, and then you can have a whole folder full of all your work in progress, and whenever you take the bus or the train or anything, you can just stick it on and have a listen. That's what I do, because I'm an English teacher. Well, I'm doing it less these days, but I used to go all over the city going to teach people in their houses and at different locations, and I'd be on so many different trains and everything. But what I would do is have a listen to my tunes that I'm working on while I'm on the way there, and I can open up the Notepad app and say, oh, the kick's sounding a little bit too loud, the trumpet is sounding a little bit too quiet, etc., etc., you know? So anyway, let's see what this is saying now. What key are we in now? I'd say we're in this key. So what's that? We're basically operating in a G sharp. I'd say that's probably more appropriate if we go down. Let's have a look. So a G sharp is like 51 Hertz, so that's completely fine. So I can make the bass line now. Big up Garfield. Yeah, I'll show you how to make drum and bass drums and the deep bass and everything. So within this bass, so the bass that I'm using, it's called Basic Sine Sub, and I'm literally just playing it with my computer MIDI keyboard. And it also has a control called Overtone, which you can turn up, and that helps it to be heard on people's smaller speakers. And then I've also got one called Distort, which you can turn up. Obviously you can use that sparingly because it does start to sound pretty extreme. But if you add a bit of overtone and a bit of distort, then people will be able to hear it on their wax speakers, so that's just a little tip. I kind of want it to go doo-doo, and it's going to do an octave, you know. So. Doo-doo. Shorter. Doom, doom, doom. So what I'm doing is I'm basically writing the bass line in a higher register so I can actually hear what notes it's playing. So I want these to come in a little bit earlier. So this is just a little trick. So because when you're writing a sub bass line, sometimes it's playing such low notes that you can't really distinguish whether it's playing an F or a G. So one little trick that I like to do is to put the bass line 1 or 2 octaves up, so it's playing like doo-doo, and it's like super high pitch, you know. And then once you've actually figured out the right notes, you just literally drop it back down to the correct octave and you'll know it's playing the right notes. Alright, so that last D sharp needs to be a little bit later. This D sharp needs to go on slightly longer. And that's it, so it can just loop. So I'll just bring this loop marker to there. Thank you for sticking with me, guys. And now I can press Shift and down. Alright, Command and A to select everything. Thank you, Garfield. Right, now we can have a look at the spectrum analyzer and see what's the sort of range of notes that we've got going on. So we're basically going from 51 Hertz. The middle note is 76, which is still acceptably in the sub-bass region. And then we do just have one note popping out of the top at 104, which is totally fine, you know, because it's just momentary. But as long as most of our sub-bass is going on in the sub-bass region, we're all good. Wonder if it came earlier, would it sound good? I kind of want it to go along with the keys, you know, because the keys are doing this early thing. Shout out Somber Womble. He's asking me if I ever play any instruments on my tune. So if you mean like actual real instruments, yeah, I sometimes chuck in some bits of guitar and bass. And I do play in a lot of the parts with a MIDI keyboard as well. But right now, I'm just kind of clicking. And I'm just wondering if I can go back to the doo-doo. Nope. All right, let's go back to the instrument rack, which is this stream is supposed to be all about. Garfield saying he'll be on One Extra with Groove Rider soon. It doesn't sound as bad with the pad lowered down like that. I want to show you a technique of how you can wobble any bass. So we've got our sub sine, right? And it's got a bit of distortion and overtone on it. Now you might be familiar with a effects called the auto filter. So if you just drag an auto filter after your basic sine sub and bring the frequency down to something like between 100 and 200 hertz. Now on the auto filter, you have this LFO. So you can turn up the LFO amount. And to start with, I'm going to put it to 100%. Later on, we're going to actually turn it back down. But just for now, on this rate, and you've got mode rate, you can change it to 16ths, right? Now, obviously, 16ths is just like is very slow, basically. What we need to do is turn it down to, you know, do you remember back in school, if you had 8/16ths, that basically means a half, right? You can simplify the fraction. If you have 4/16ths, 4, 8, 12, 16, so it's a quarter. That's a quarter note. Or you can put it to 2/16ths, which is an eighth. It's all quite confusing. I don't know why they've done it like that. It used to be simpler. But anyway, see now, when I bring the LFO amount down to something a bit more appropriate, you can see on the auto filter that it's just wobbling it subtly. And you can bring it even more further down if you want it to just be like a very subtle effect. Or you can have it something like at 18%. if you want it to be a bit more over the top. But down here is more appropriate, I think. Exactly, Future World Machines. I was stumbling over myself with the mathematics, but yeah, 16/16 is an entire bar, and then you sort of take it down into fractions of that. So if we take it all the way down to 2/16, that's basically an eighth. Shout out Somber Womble. Yeah. Especially British smokers, and I suppose American ones too. Dealing with eighths and quarters. So that's a way, if you've got a simple bass that's just growling away, and you want to make it a bit more interesting, you could do that to it. Make it have a bit of a wobble. And then, obviously, what you can do is you can automate the rate so it can jump between eighths and 16ths, you know, and make it wobble faster and slower and stuff like that. I'll show you how to do that now if you want. So we'll have the lower note on a lower wobble, you know, and then we'll make it go so that top bit will be. So what we do is we go into automation mode. So I'm going to turn off the MIDI keyboard and just press A. Now we're in automation mode. Now I'm just going to click the rate, and you can see right now it's all the way down here at a 2. I'm going to move it up for this first part to 8/16, aka a half. Maybe it should just be a full 16/16. And then we'll make it go to here again, back to 16. So as you can see, as you drag up the red line, it shows you in a little box how many 16ths you're currently at. So when it's up like that, it's 16/16, and when it's down there, it's 2/16. All right? So let's have a listen. And then we can just copy that automation or duplicate it like that. And then we can press A to get back out of automation mode, and that's it. Now you have basically automated the rate of your wobble. Big up Paul K in the chat. Been a while, mate. Hope you're all good. I think probably that pad needs to come down further. These chords, I programmed them in super gentle. And these headphones have like no bass, so it's difficult to really tell whether that bass is absolutely blasting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that bass into its own little group called bass. So to do that, click on it, press Command and G, press Command and R to rename it, type in bass in capital letters, and then close that up and just put it next to the drums group. And then we've got these, I'm going to rename these chords. And by the way, you might have noticed that this project is called Dress Code. Why did I call it that? Well, listen to these chords. It kind of sounds to me like the type of posh jazz lounge where there's a dress code and they won't let you in if you're wearing certain clothes. So I'm just going to call that one Pad. Shout out Somber Womble, he's part of the Wax speaker crew this evening. I'm going to call that Instrum. because that's a couple of instruments. No hats, no hoods. Alright. And maybe the pad should do something different. So Paul K is calling it elevator music. Yeah. You know that Gangstar tune called Mass Appeal? It goes ding 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 ding. I heard a little interview with DJ Premier where he's talking about how during that era all of the hip hop went to, like, he was saying it sounded like elevator music. And basically, if you want to have mass appeal, you've got to make some like super chilled out stuff that sounds like elevator music. So he made that tune and it blew up. So he got his mass appeal in the end. Thank you, Paul K. I'm just messing about, to be honest. It's not my favourite. It's not the best tune I've ever made, but it's alright. Garfield's asked me if the BPM's 80. So basically, yeah, what it is like when it comes to BPMs, you can like kind of half it or double it. So usually like drum and bass and stuff, it's produced at 170 something BPM. But when you put it into your DJ software like Tractor or Serato, it basically reads it as half. So this is why if the tune is 175 BPM, then what is it, like 87.5 or something? It comes up in your DJ software. But to be honest with you, if you're making this kind of music, you should put it to this type of BPM, somewhere like 174, 175, etc. If you think about it, drum and bass, like a house tune is in 120 BPM, right? 126, 128. Drum and bass is much faster than house, so it should be this tempo. But that's basically the way the DJ software works. And to be honest with you, if your DJ software has scanned all of your drum and bass tunes and put them between 70 and 80 BPM, you can still like DJ like that and use the sync button and stuff. It's just it's literally made it exactly half of what it should have been. Yeah, and I actually do love tunes where it goes into halftime like hip-hop mode. In fact, I've got this folder called Drum Loops, which does exactly what it says on the tin. And these drum loops here are hip-hop drums. For example, here's some Method Man drums. And I quite like it where you've got the intro of a tune with hip-hop drums and then it drops into D&B. So, for the people that don't know, when you're auditioning samples in the browser, it's very clever because it basically time stretches it to your project. And what you can do is, here on the right side here, where you've got this blue box that says -6, that is your monitoring volume. And it's this one here on the other page. It's got like a little pair of headphones. It's your monitoring volume. So you can turn that up a bit if you're trying to audition some drums and they're sounding a bit quiet. So let's play the beat again. And let's audition some different drum loops. That one's pretty good. Yeah. Shout out Ben. And yeah, I love that whole style with urban takeover and the style of late 90s drum and bass that includes a lot of hip hop samples and even hip hop drums in the intro and stuff. That's basically like what I'm into. That's what my vinyl collection is. And it's been a while since I did a vinyl set, but when I did, I was spinning those kind of urban takeover tunes. And they always go down well. And if you haven't heard it already, check out a tune called Rip the Cut by Natural Born Chillers. Look it up in a different tab on YouTube now. It's either Rip the Cut or Rip da Cut by Natural Born Chillers. And that is exactly the type of music I'm talking about. Urban takeover. Big up Marcos in Valencia. Hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks for coming back. I always like to see the same faces coming back each week. I really appreciate it. All right. That one's good. You know, I'm kind of sick of looking now, so I might just choose that one. Alright, we're peaking. It's alright. Sorry if I distorted anyone's speakers there. Yo, yo. Don't make me start MCing. And then it drops, alright? And this is a thing, yeah? Something I've found where if you've got hip hop drums in the intro and then D&B drums on the drop, one thing you need to make sure is that your hip hop drums aren't too fat and too bassy and too loud, because you don't want it to suddenly drop and the D&B drums are sounding weaker than your hip hop drums. So you need to make the hip hop drums kind of take a back seat and not be too nice. Otherwise, they're going to overshadow the drop. People are saying that these hi-hats sound like sleigh bells from Christmas time. And one thing you can do is grab your auto filter, put that on these hip hop drums, put it onto a band pass, yeah, exactly, Ben. And obviously we need some steezy hip-hop guy saying something just before the drop, and then... And we can get rid of all this now. And I'm going to do a little bit of processing. Yeah. Paul K is saying a rewind before the drop always works well. Totally agree. Actually, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but one time I recorded a load of my own rewinds. You know, using Serato. Just put some drums into Serato and then record it and just go and make your own rewinds. That can be fun. All right, we've got the drum, we got the glue compressor. Now we've got the drum bus. One thing I like to do is turn down the trim, bring up the drive a bit, mess about with this damp control until you like the high end. Get the tape saturation out. Samba Womble is quoting that movie. What's that movie now? Ho, ho, ho. Open up your dough. I'm Santa Claus, and guess what, y'all? I got something to show. I came to bring some Christmas spirit. I got a big bag now. Guess what's in it? I need to get that vocal for the tune. Beat Street, innit? It's from Beat Street. If you haven't seen Beat Street, check it out. It's like an old school 80s hip hop movie of like breakdancing, graffiti, and all the rest of it. Shout out the GOS in the chat. Welcome. And maybe I'll put a little bit of high pass on these chords in case they're a little bit too muddy. Beat Street, you know. Sick movie. You weren't feeling my rapping. All right. Yes, the GOS, that's coming up in November. I'm going to make a YouTube community post where I will have a link for everybody to upload their tunes. And we can all listen to them together on the stream and give some feedback and stuff. That's one stream idea that's coming up. Another one is, I don't know if you guys saw my community post, but I was asking if you guys would tune in if I start to do DJ mixes. Not on a Sunday night. I'm talking about a totally separate stream, like a Thursday or whatever, where I jump on the decks and play a load of beats and get on the microphone as well. I don't have turntables here because this apartment is so tiny, so I will be using a DJ controller, which is probably for the best, because if I'm on camera and on the microphone talking as well, it might be nice for me to be able to make it slightly easier for myself regarding the mixing and stuff, you know. Big up Garfield, thank you man, glad you like it. Alright, so what should I add in now? Another instrument. Sometimes I like to use the marimba. Marimba with far too much reverb on it. Let's have a look. Need to turn on the MIDI keyboard. DJ MC Graish in the place. Jack of all trades, master of none. Alright, I'll whack the hybrid reverb on there. Nice one, Paul. What are we in? G sharp. I'm just going to do those 3 notes and then put loads of delay on it. Let's try that one more time. Alright, and then get the delay. I want it to go. There we go. Ben is saying, can't see the word bongo without thinking of Bingo Bongo by DJ Quicksilver. Stupid record, but one of the first I ever got sent as a promo. I kind of remember the name DJ Quicksilver. It's definitely from like, what is it, 2001 or something. Proper old school. If your name's not Dan, you're not coming in. Do you know what everything needs? More dirt. Because if you listen to the drums, they've got like vinyl crackle, they've got like a load of saturation and stuff, and then everything else is sounding really clean. So let's do something about that. So if you had some chords that you made in Contact, how would you make them sound more dirty? One thing you can do is grab the saturator, put that on there, turn down the output and then turn up the drive. Then we can get the tape saturator. Big L, rest in peace. Hang on, maybe that could just go up at the last note just for a bit of variety. What I'm going to do to cheat, I'm going to grab the saturator and the tape saturator from these chords, and holding down the Alt button, I'm going to drag them onto the pad channel. Then when I let go, it's copied them, but they're still there on the chord channel, you know, so I don't have to basically go looking for the saturator and the tape saturator and then dial them in again. You just do this. Somber Womble, I didn't realise you were from Macclesfield. Big up the Macclesfield Massive. I don't know. Are you somebody who I know, or I'm originally from Macclesfield, but I left there 20 years ago, and I've lived in Barcelona. So, but I do occasionally go back there. I was there in August for a bit. Big up the Macclesfield Mandem. Big up Marcos in Valencia, representing Spain and representing Florida. So we're getting towards that point where I start to do the arrangement. I'm pretty pleasantly surprised that the camera's still on, to be honest, because it was showing like some almost overheating symbol ages ago. But shout out my camera for hanging on. I do appreciate it. Because what are we now? 88 minutes in. There's a chance it still might die, and for the last like half an hour we might be just like faceless streaming, but as long as you can see Ableton live and you can hear me waffling on, I suppose it doesn't really matter about my face in the corner. But what I want is like some kind of just random sound effect with loaded delay on it that just goes, yeah. So let's have a look what we've got. 0G data files is always good. There's beatbox in there. Animals. Okay. That first flute's definitely in a drum and bass or like an old school jungle tune. Is it Eliza or Eliza? Thank you for coming back. I think you were here last time. Really appreciate you tuning in, and big up the Estonian crew. Big up Jason Story in Portland. And Paul K is in Manchester. Shout out the Macclesfield crew. Welsh. Who's in Wales? Oh yeah, Garth's in Wales. And Manny Lynn is in Barcelona. So hello to everybody. It's just amazing, isn't it, that like in this day and age that we can all just hang out together despite being on opposite corners of the globe. Eliza, I hope I'm saying that right. Hello to you, thanks for coming back. Anyway, yeah, I keep getting sidetracked. I was just going to chuck in a random sound effect with a load of delay on it and then start doing the arrangement. I mean, I'm basically looking for something. Oh yeah, no, I've got a mate from Macclesfield who's called Garth, who his mum's from North Wales and he lives in North Wales now. So I think I told you about him on Friday. But yeah, his name's not even Garth, it's like Gareth. But he got called Garth because of that character from Wayne's World, Garth. Anyway, so I was just saying, I basically want a really short sound effect that can just happen and then go away. And then when you put loads of delay on it, it sort of does this. Or you can have... And it goes really well with the hip-hop beats, you know? Maybe pitch it up a little bit. Guys, if any of you haven't clicked like yet, click like so that the stream gets spread out to more people on YouTube. And if you like drum and bass and hip hop and production and Ableton Live, consider subscribing to this channel because that's what it's all about. Yeah, I love a bit of Wayne's World. I was saying to my girlfriend before that basically in the 90s you would have your TV and then you would have your VCR and then underneath you would have basically just a load of videotapes that you've watched a million times, including we had The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and obviously Wayne's World, you know? And when you've just... when you've just got a handful of cassettes to put in there, well, you just watch them over and over again and learn all the words. Thank you, Garfield. I really appreciate you sharing the stream and telling people about my lesson. So for any of you guys who are looking for a music production teacher to really learn how to use Ableton and know it inside out, I do one-on-one classes via the webcam and sharing the screen and everything. And if you want to get in touch about that, my email address is down below. It's contact.graish@gmail.com. So get in touch and we can have a chat and discuss your level and what you're looking for and how I can help you. Alright, so what we've got is 8 bars. We've got 13 channels so far. And I do kind of feel like maybe chucking in maybe 1 or 2 more things before we carry on. Let's get rid of the sound effect for now. Maybe I'll bring in an actual piano. And alright, let's just type in piano and see what comes up. Instruments. We've got AC upright. piano bass. Coincidentally, that when that starts wobbling like that, it actually sounds pretty similar to the bass we're already using. Grand piano is my go-to. So is that grand piano within Ableton? Grand piano single sample. Oh, that one there. You know what I could do? I have this, for the people who can still see my webcam, I have this piano MIDI controller. And the wonderful thing about living in 2025 is that you can just plug stuff in midstream and it'll actually work. Because back in the day, you would have to like restart Ableton, possibly even restart the whole computer before it'll even recognize this. But now in 2025, you just plug and play. It's amazing. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's working. Amazing. What a time to be alive, eh? So, since we're using a grand piano, it's only right that I whip out the old MIDI keyboard and try and play some piano on this. Now, my piano skills are shocking. Let me just tell you that before I even start trying to play it. Watch now as Spain has another massive blackout. You know, the power went off about a week ago or so. We had a power cut, but it was only about 20 minutes or something, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was just my building, my block, or my city, or the whole country, or what, but it was scary. It felt like it was going to be another one. You know what I like to do is just like little riffs. Like, you see what I've done with the basic bright marimba? I literally played 3 notes. I like to throw in little stuff like that, you know, and then a little 3 notes of piano maybe. Maybe. And then you're like, what, you plugged in your little keyboard just to play 3 notes? Yeah, I did. You're quite clever, aren't you, Ben? You actually know a bit about music theory, because I just noticed, and you can't see this keyboard, but I just noticed that the vast majority of the notes that I need to play are the black ones. So you're saying if I pitch it down by 1 semitone, then I'll just be playing the white ones. And you're quite correct. So it seems like Ben actually knows his music theory. Whereas I'm just like, literally, I'm doing it all by ear, so I know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good, but I couldn't tell you, oh, we're in the D minor tonic scale or whatever, you know. Oh yeah, that's it. Basically, yeah, the Graish Nation members started a Discord, and I made the executive decision a couple of weeks ago that it would be much better if we had all of you guys in that Discord. So I'd like to formally invite you all. Not sure how I'm going to do that right now, to be honest. But basically, the Discord server, it's got like a few subgroups in there, and one of them is a feedback group for the tunes. So if you've made a tune or you've got a work in progress, you can post it. We can all give you feedback. There's also a general production chat, etc. Big up Andrew AJ. He's already joined the Discord. So yeah, I'll see if I can post it now. Hang on a second. Let me just keep the music running so it's not just like dead air. And I will post it in the chat. That piano sounds a bit weird. Alright, Graish Nation on Discord. How do I do it? Let's bring those chords in. Here we go. Graish Nation. Invite people. Alright, I've got the link. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to post links in the chat. I'm going to try. Try that. If you're a Discord user, click that link, join the server, and you're going to see the little logo which I came up with. This time last week I was saying I'm not inviting people until I come up with a little profile picture for the server. So yesterday I designed a cute little piano picture, which is that's all I could think of, you know. Do you remember last time I was like, what should it be, like a GN for Graish Nation, but just couldn't think of a logo, so came up with this little piano, and that's the logo for the server. Anyway, join the server if you want some feedback, if you want to talk about music production, if you want to ask me how to do certain things in Ableton Live, you can ask me there, and it's free to join. Anyway, let's carry on organising this. We've got the grand piano, that's going to go in the instruments group. We've got the hip hop drums. Honestly, I don't think that should go in the main drums group. What I'm going to do is create another group called intro drums. Intro drums. We've also got something called basic bright marimba, so that can go in the instruments group. And then this is like just a little sound effect, can go in the instruments group. So it's all nicely organised. Yes, Jason, I'm glad you listened to that one. You know, a lot of old school drum and bass and jungle tunes, you hear them everywhere, like General Levy and all that stuff. But that one tune, I only ever used to hear it when I was playing my vinyl sets. And I haven't played a vinyl set in years, so I haven't heard that tune in years. And then I suddenly thought about it the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, Rip the Cut. And the way how I found out about that tune is actually from the other side, which is called... what's it called now? Can't remember, but the other side's a way more famous drum and bass tune. And I saw that tune in a place in Manchester called Vinyl Exchange, and I was like, yes, I've finally found this tune. Turns out that the A-side, which I can't even remember the name of it, but it wasn't the remix. Like, it turns out that it's the Urban Shakedown remix that I was actually into, and the original version isn't as good. But so I was kind of disappointed for a moment, and then when I flipped it over and listened to the other side and heard Rip the Cut, I was like, this is my new go-to. It's absolutely sick. And a lot of, in between probably like 2009, throughout the early part of the 2010s, I was like playing in all sorts of places, like clubs, squat raves, all sorts of raves, playing that tune. And it always went off. Everyone loves it. Steal all of these effects and put them on grand piano, and hopefully it won't be sounding as boring and dry. I don't know what you've been prosecuted for, Paul, but stay out of trouble, mate. I think it should be down, you know what I mean? These like sort of long delays. $16. Shout out Kenwood. Oh, Paul said he's spilt a full can of lager all over his laptop. That's devastating. Alright, let's break it down. I want to big up everyone in the chat. Big up Paul K, Somber Womble, Ken Wood. We've got Ben, Marcos. We've got Andrew AJ, Jason Story. Did I already say Somber Womble? I'm going to say it again because it's an amazing name. We've also got Garfield. We've also got Manilyn Sahagon. DJ Fully Loaded. Future World Machines. Andrea Parro. Great turnout. And I never even added an 808 to this one. Big up Andrew AJ. Shout out the Discord massive. Garfield, I really appreciate you sharing stuff on Reddit. And actually, you know what? This time last week, this stream had the most people it's ever had. And possibly a reason why is that I actually did post on Reddit in a couple of different threads or subreddits that I was going to go live. But I forgot to do that this week. But still, it's a good turnout. So for the people that weren't here, there's probably some people watching that are like clicked on this because they actually want to know how to create an instrument rack in Ableton Live. So for those people, I'm going to quickly just take you through it again. And you can see that this pad sound here is called Instrument Rack. And this is one that I actually made at the beginning of this stream. So you can feel free to go back and, like, once we've finished, you can go back and watch it from the beginning, but I'll quickly show you how this works. So this is actually a wavetable synth, and using LFOs, which stands for low frequency oscillators, I've basically made certain parts of this synth move back and forth, including this wavetable position here. So as it plays, that moves. And also, one thing I've forgotten to do is to turn off retrigger. So in these LFOs, you've got this little R symbol. Turn that off. Turn that off on both, because that's called retrigger, and that's going to keep making it go back to the beginning every time it makes another note. So anyway, we got the wavetable synth. I've made the LFO control various things, and the way how you do that is using this matrix. So you link the LFOs to things like oscillator 1 position, filter 1 frequency, etc. So once you've set up the synth to do that, you can go ahead and add a load of effects, including chorus, OTT, delay, reverb, etc. And then what I did is I linked these macros to the various things, and the way you do that is press map and then click on something and then click the little map button here. For example, I went to the reverb, clicked on the wet and dry control, and then clicked map in the first macro. And then when you go out of mapping, now this control here is directly linked to the wet and dry of the reverb, so you've got it at hand. And the idea is that once this is all set up, you can close it up like this, and you can just have a neat and tidy little instrument with 8 controls, and you don't need to see any of the complicated stuff that's going on under the hood. So that's a brief overview of how to put together an instrument rack. And if you can't be bothered, or it's too complicated, or you don't have time, or anything like that, all you need to do is go to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Graish. You'll find it in the link in the description of this stream. And if you become a supporter, you can have this rack. All right, you can download it along with a load of other stuff. And I'm going to be uploading stuff every week, goodies for you to download, including instrument racks, full project templates. And every time I make a tutorial from now on, I'm probably going to be putting the project folder onto my Patreon, and all you need to do is become a supporter and you can have it all. Right, so it's time to arrange this now. So we've got the hip-hop drums, we've got the drum and bass drums, we've got a bass line, we've got all these different instruments. So how do you make an arrangement? Actually, I'm going to hit save. That's something you need to do periodically. Press Command and S, or just go here to the file menu and press save. Make sure you save what you're doing on a regular basis, and don't be like me, where you're going for 90 minutes at a time without hitting save, because if your computer crashes in between that time, then, you know, Ableton does have a very good system where it sort of allows you to bring stuff back from the undo history. So what it's doing is it's registering every single thing you do, just so that if you wanted to press undo, you can go back, right? But it uses that undo history so that if the program crashes, it will be able to bring you back to the state you were at before, hopefully. But it's a bit of a gamble. So I wouldn't rely on the undo history. I would just save it every time. Literally every time you add something new, save it. Even every time you make a little tweak that you're happy with, save it. So what I like to do when I'm making an arrangement is to create an area that's going to be the intro. And if you zoom out on Ableton Live, you might have noticed that there's areas that are darker grey and areas that are lighter grey. And the more you zoom in, you're going to see, like, here it's sort of doing it by the 8 bars. 8 bars of light, 8 bars of dark. But then when you zoom out, it changes to 16 bars of dark, 16 bars of light, which lets you very easily see where the 16 bar sections are. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it on bar 33, which gives me 2 of these 16 bar sections for the intro. All right, let's catch up with the chat. So Ben is saying, one thing to remember about Ableton's autosave is that it doesn't remember settings on external VSTs unless the project has been manually saved since the VST was added. So yeah, that's another reason why you need to save periodically, because the undo history isn't going to remember everything you've done within your VSTs. Right, so it's time to make a decision. Am I going to start it with drum and bass drums, then drop it down into the hip hop and then come back to drum and bass? Or is it just going to be hip hop for the entire intro and then you don't hear any D&B drums till bar 33? I think the latter is probably the way I'm going to go. So for that reason, I'm going to delete the D&B drums from the beginning and you're not going to hear them until bar 33. I'm also going to delete the bass line. So what we've got now, I'll put the intro drums right to the very top. What we've got now is intro drums. That pad won't come in yet, so I'll put that over here. You know what? A lot of these things aren't going to come in yet. So what we're starting off with is hip hop drums, contact, which is the chords, and the little sound effect. So we've got 16 bars of that, okay? I'm going to press save. Garfield's still saying bongo, so I'm guessing you want me to add some sort of a bongo. So let's have a look what we've got here. All right. So I'm going to just add a MIDI track, and then I'm going to double click bongo, and something I'm kind of semi-ashamed to admit, after all these years of using Ableton Live, I didn't realise you could do that until like 2 weeks ago. So you basically create a MIDI track and then double click a sample and it just automatically puts it into a simpler for you, which is amazing. Alright, so I'm just going to make it go bump, bump. So it goes dun, dun, cha, bum, bum. Alright. Try that one more time. That's it. So there's your bongo, Garfield. Might not be perfectly in time. So now all I do is I go into the clip. You can see it's a MIDI clip and I've got those 2 MIDI notes there, right? And I've pressed this loop button. What that'll allow me to do now is just drag sideways here and it's gonna just keep putting that bongo over and over again. Pretty clever, right? No one wants it perfectly in time, but we do want it to actually sound good with the drums that are already there, so. Is it gradually getting later and later though? Yeah, that's why. look at this, right? If you wanna, you see how it sounded like it was on point on the first one. If you look towards the sort of bottom right of the screen and you can see that the clip ends at bar 3, look where the loop marker is. It goes just past bar 3. So if I drag that so it's actually on, hopefully this will be in time every time now. Right, bongo can go into intro drums. And then after 16 bars we're dropping down into It's Not Right. I think the chat's delayed. I'm guessing you guys are saying that from just before I sorted it out. Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, people are saying drop the volume as well. I agree, the bongo should be more subtle. And also, don't forget it's totally dry. I've not done anything to it. Don't judge my bongo skills, alright? Alright, hybrid reverb. And also, check this out. Make sure you pay attention to this. On the hybrid reverb, you've got 2 tabs, reverb and EQ. On the EQ tab, you can do this. Get rid of a load of the low end. Future World Machines is telling me the bongo's in the wrong key. Let's have a listen. I think it's perfect. I'm ignoring all your advice about the bongo now. I'm done with it. Alright, then we drop down into this section here, which probably the contact should carry on. Alright, and then as we get into the drop now, it's time for me to start deleting things from this. So we don't need these hip-hop drums, we don't need these chords. In fact, I'm going to do something special with the chords, so I'll put those over to one side. I'm not really feeling this. Maybe the pad could go down an octave here. Let's have a look. No, definitely not. Right, all this stuff probably is going to get used later, so I'll just put it over there. I don't know if you guys are just trolling me, because I think that the bongo actually sounds great with the hip-hop drums now. Don't know if you guys watch Future World. Sorry, not Future World. Don't know if you guys watch Human Synthetics stream on Wednesday nights. But basically, he was talking about... I was asking him if he's ever taken piano lessons, because he seems to be someone who really understands the different keys and melodies and stuff. And he replied, no, he's never done piano lessons, but he used to be... he used to do classical guitar lessons and stuff, you know? So I was asking him if he's ever chucked in classical guitar into a jungle tune, but he was essentially saying that he doesn't think it really goes with it. But I was like, man, I think classical guitar, it's... I mean, the tune can have chilled bits and heavy bits, right? So you can use the classical guitar and, like mine, drops down into this stuff here. But eventually it's going to get heavy. And one place that I like to get my crashes from is these drum kits. So if we go into Session Drums Multi-Mic and grab some drums. Anyway, do any of you guys have YouTube channels, or do you do any streaming? Because if you do, let us know in the chat and we can all join you on your stream. And I'm really interested in Twitch as well, like if any of you guys are streaming on Twitch. Oh yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, is that, you know, before I was saying that I want to start DJing on the stream. But the thing is, I'm not really sure how it works with copyright, because as you know, if you play the wrong thing on YouTube, you can get... Sometimes you just get demonetized. Well, obviously... Needless to say, if I start DJing on the stream, it's going to get demonetized, as in all the ad revenue will go to the creators of the music that I'm playing, right? And that's totally fine. When it's a DJing stream, I want the ad money to go to those people who made those tunes. However, what I don't want is to get a copyright strike and get my channel banned or anything like that. I don't want to put this channel in jeopardy in any way just from me doing a silly little DJ set. It's not worth it at all, right? So I need to find out the nitty-gritty of how it all works regarding copyright on YouTube. And maybe another thing that I could do is just do Twitch instead, because I think it's a bit more lenient. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Galvatron, he's the right person to ask. He knows about all this stuff. He seems to be fine, but you know what? With Galvatron, he's playing a lot of underground jungle tunes. Maybe on purpose. Maybe he's just playing like the most underground stuff that isn't going to get you flagged. Garfield, no DJing, just make music on Ableton. Yeah, but the thing I'm saying is, I'm still going to do my production stream every Sunday. This isn't going anywhere, you know? I'm talking about an additional stream on a different day of the week where I DJ. Oh yeah, I was supposed to be adding a crash. I just get sidetracked. I swear I must have ADHD or something, because my mind just goes on an absolute tangent and I completely forget what I was supposed to be doing. So, we've got a kit here called Countryman. And what I'm going to do is just create a MIDI clip. And in that MIDI clip, you see all the drums that are in there, including Crash PA18, which is exactly what I wanted. Then you can adjust the velocity to make it hit the crash harder. Yeah, so basically I just need to play like really underground stuff. One thing I could do is just wait, because I've got quite a lot of tunes. probably not enough to play a full hour. So, but at some point next year or whatever, I'll have like an hour's worth of my own tunes that I can play, and that'll also give me motivation to keep making more tunes to fill up my DJ set with. So perhaps I should just wait until I've got more than an hour's worth of Graish tunes to play on my radio show, and just only play my own music. Big up Somber Womble. We're gonna make that happen. So where's Crash PA 18? So when you've got a drum rack like this, each one of these drums has its individual volume control there that you can just grab and turn up a bit. Yeah, Andrew AJ is saying that I should play, when I do a feedback stream, the tunes that are given to me for feedback, I could play them on my little DJ set. Not a bad idea, honestly. So yeah, there's various ways around it. That's the takeaway from this conversation. Play my own unreleased tunes. Play other people's unreleased tunes. Or just DJ on Twitch so I don't jeopardize my YouTube channel. That's a good point, Ben. So Ben is saying playing only your own tunes is going to either put loads of pressure on you to churn out substandard tunes to keep your sets fresh, or very repetitive streams. Maybe Grand Piano could be kept back for later. You see, the thing is, yeah, when you make a video and you're uploading it to YouTube, it'll tell you whether there's copyrighted material in it, and you can decide whether you want to press publish or not, right? But when you're going live, there is no warning system. So you play the wrong tune. For example, there's one tune called PFM The Western. One time I played that in a mix. I was actually for someone else's YouTube channel. But we weren't allowed to upload the video because that tune, PFM The Western, it's not just like the money will go to him. He literally will not allow that tune to be on YouTube. So in the end, instead of the mix being on that YouTube channel, I said, I'll put it on my own YouTube channel. I'll edit the video and I'll cut out that tune. And that's what I had to do, which was a pain. And I don't know why he's like that. I mean, if it's me, if anyone wants to use my tunes on their YouTube channel, they can. And if all the ad revenue goes to me, well, that's cool, isn't it? You know? I would never be like, no, you can't upload it. It's blocked. I don't know why anyone would be like that. Alright, I'm getting behind with the chat. Paul K, you've mentioned before that you're in recovery. I hope you're doing well, mate. Stay on the straight and narrow. And get yourself another laptop ASAP. I mean, pouring a whole can of lager all over your laptop, that should be enough of a wake-up call to stop drinking, because that's an expensive mistake. And yeah, you get a rewarding feeling when you make a tune, so get on it. Future World Machine said you could DJ loads of clips in a big Ableton Live set. Yeah, I've got that. I don't know if you guys saw a video of mine that's called How to Actually Use Ableton Live. That was the start of the Graish Live set. It's got like 7 or 8 tunes in it so far. Nowhere near enough for like a full stream. But yeah, it's getting there. And obviously, each time I make a new tune, it can be added. And I put them all together. I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but I was using this. It's the Launchpad Pro from Novation, and it is the perfect. Look how it's like got everything you need to do a live set with Ableton Live, but it's actually really thin and light. So look how thin it is. So it just fits straight in a backpack. Doesn't take up much room. It isn't very heavy. So that's the perfect controller. And I do love the Ableton Push, but it's an absolute chunky beast. Doesn't fit in your average backpack, you know. So Jason Story is saying LTJ doesn't allow any of good-looking tunes anywhere. Well, I love LTJ Bookham's music, but I'm not really in agreement with his attitude about that, unfortunately. So shout out LTJ Bookham. And if any of you guys haven't seen the Good Looking Records documentary from the 90s, you've got to watch it. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's full of amazing music. You get to see them on tour in places like Japan and Canada. And I haven't tried out the Ableton Move, but I will. Anyway, let this beat play, man. Sorry if I keep stopping it. Sorry. Yeah, the push is amazing. The thing is with the push, you could actually just make full tunes on it because it's got the little screen there and stuff, like, without ever looking at the computer. Alright. Possibly there could be some kind of witty vocal sample there before the drop. And all of this stuff's going to come much later. I want to show you another thing before I go, alright? I'm not going to be here for much longer, but I want to show you quickly how you can turn some Rhodes chords into a pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get our chords channel here, and I'm just going to duplicate it, first of all. And we're going to choose an area that's later on in the tune. So I'll just put these back here for now. And this is the chords channel, and this is what it's sounding like. Now what I'm going to do here is literally just right click and bounce track in place. What that does is it turns this track into an audio track, and I don't need all this first bit, so I'll get rid of that. And then this bit that's later on, what we can do now is start messing with it. So, for example, double click into it and reverse it. And then you can stretch it so it's twice as long, so make sure warping is turned on. Make sure it's on the complex algorithm. Then just grab the end of here, hold down shift and just drag it so it's twice as long. Then you can chop it up and rearrange it however you like. Tune title, The Bouncer, classic bouncer not letting a guy in sample. So obviously there's the, if your name's not Dan, you're not coming in. I could just record myself saying that actually. Or something along the same lines. Sorry, mate, no tracksuits allowed. You know, just as an example. Wait. And then you could have dun, dun, and that bit repeats itself. So what I'm trying to show you here is that basically what I've done is I've bounced the Rhodes piano to audio. I've reversed it, I've time stretched it, I've chopped it up, I've rearranged it, and now you get stuff like this. Big up Marcos, thanks for joining, man. I'll see you next week. Make sure you try out the reverse and bounce the Rhodes piano technique, and you get a really interesting pad sound. And then obviously, needless to say, you can start piling all the delay and reverb on it and make it sound a bit more interesting that way. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, if you've learned something, make sure you click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to grab the pad from today's lesson, you can become a supporter of my Patreon and grab it there. Also, join the Discord. The link to the Discord is right there in the chat, so join the Discord if you want feedback on your tunes, if you want to chat to all us lot, and we can all meet up there. And have an amazing week, and I'll see you same time.